12:04:12 a.m., July 21st, 1940. Bawdsey, Suffolk coast. Wind from the North Sea lashes against the steel towers, carrying the smell of salt and wet grass. Inside the low concrete operations hut, a lone duty operator rubs sleep from his eyes, leaning toward the soft green glow of the cathode ray tube. The radar antenna hums above him, a long, trembling vibration you can feel in your teeth. He adjusts his headphones. A faint pulse flickers on the screen, so faint you'd miss it if you blinked. Outside, the sky is still black. Inside, something is approaching. He taps his pencil twice, a nervous habit. That blip is too far out, and too high. Could be sea clutter, could be nothing. Or it could be the thing everyone said this machine could barely detect. He leans closer. The blip repeats. Stronger. Then again, clearer, marching across the scope in perfect rhythm. He swallows hard. Control, Bawdsey calling. Possible track, bearing 085. Fast. A pause. Static. Then a tired voice answers. Copy that, Bawdsey. Could be interference. But the operator doesn't look away. The blip has multiplied, now a thin chain of echoes stretching across the early morning void. Not one aircraft, not two. Dozens. He marks the paper strip with a swift pencil line. This isn't interference. This is a formation, and it's coming straight toward London. Hours earlier, most of Britain still slept. Only the radar towers, those strange, skeletal giants rising from fields and cliffs, kept their silent vigil. Even among RAF commanders, the idea that one station could tip the balance of a war felt far-fetched. Radar was promising, yes, but fragile, limited, experimental. Pilots joked that the towers looked like unfinished scaffolding. Some officers whispered that the system wouldn't last 10 minutes in a real fight. And in London, politicians still debated budgets, cables, and maintenance costs. Yet here, long before sunrise, one operator at one console sees what no human eye could possibly see. A Luftwaffe strike wing forming over the channel, far beyond the horizon. Too distant for spotters, too early for patrols, too dark for anyone else to know. But the antennas know, the pulses know. That dull rhythmic echo, traveling out, hitting metal, returning home, carries the weight of every life sleeping under the blacked-out city. The operator's hands shake slightly as he speaks again into the radio. Control, the contacts are multiplying. Estimate, 30 plus. Correction, 40. Altitude around 15,000. Suddenly the tone on the other end shifts. No more casual boredom, no more dismissal. Stand by, Bawdsey. Passing to fighter command. A second voice, calmer, clipped, unmistakably military, cuts in. Chain home, Bawdsey. Confirm track. Do not lose them. The operator forces his breath steady. Yes, sir. Strong return. Multiple groups. He scribbles fresh marks along the plotting sheet. The hut seems to shrink around him. Every operator in the country will be awake in minutes. Every sector station will light up. Every pilot sleeping in canvas tents will be shaken awake by a runner shouting the code word they know by heart. Scramble! He can almost picture it already. Boots hitting grass, engines coughing to life, the sharp smell of aviation fuel pooling under the wings of hurricanes and Spitfires. And none of it would happen in time if this station didn't speak first. A runner bursts through the door, pulling on a jacket, breath fogging in the cold. "Orders from Stanmore. Keep tracking. We have confirmation requests coming from Dover and Rye." The operator nods, eyes locked on the scope. The echoes now fill nearly half the display. He whispers, almost to himself, "They're coming in force." The runner steps beside him, watching the screen glow against the dark. "How many do you think?" The operator doesn't answer at first. He just draws one more line, then another. Finally, softly, enough to break the city, if they get through. The hum of the transmitter grows louder, almost like a heartbeat. Above the coastal cliffs, the first hint of sunrise smears pale orange along the horizon. Not enough to warm the air, but enough to reveal the silhouettes of the towers. Tall, rigid, unlikely heroes of a war no one had imagined would be fought with invisible waves. Inside the hut, the men exchange a glance. For months, people had doubted them, doubted the science, doubted that a flicker of light on a screen could ever stop an air fleet. But now the only thing between London and oblivion is the blip that refuses to disappear. The operator leans forward as new returns spark into view. A second formation, then a third. His voice trembles as he calls it in. "Control. We have multiple inbound waves." Silence on the line. A long one. Then, quietly, "Understood. Passing to fighter command. This may be the one Dowding warned us about." The operator closes his eyes for half a second. Just half. When he opens them, the sky on the screen is full, and somewhere in a darkened room outside London, Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding is fastening his tunic, preparing to make the decision that will define the fate of Britain. But it starts here, with one station, one operator, one signal no one trusted, until today. And the next move will stun even the skeptics inside Fighter Command. The phones at Fighter Command headquarters begin ringing before the corridors even fill with light. A runner flips the blackout curtains aside just enough to let a thin blade of dawn through. It cuts across the operations table, an enormous map of southern England marked with grease pencil grids. Cigarette smoke from tired night shift officers clings to the ceiling. A moment later, Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding steps in. He isn't a man who raises his voice. He doesn't need to. His presence, calm, almost austere, makes the younger officers straighten instinctively. A duty controller moves toward him, headset around his neck. "Sir, Bawdsey, Dover, and Dunkirk chain home stations are all giving early returns. Large tracks, multiple wings." Dowding glances down at the map, eyes narrowing. "How reliable are the readings?" The officer hesitates. This is the question everyone knew was coming, because for months, senior staff had argued that radar was untested, unrefined, perhaps even a dangerous distraction from real reconnaissance. Eyes on the sky, not machines in huts. That was the old school view. Even now, especially now, no one wants to overcommit fighters unless they're certain. "Sir," the controller begins, "the operators report consistent echoes, but the density seems..." A second controller interrupts from across the room. "New call from Rye. Additional formation detected." Dowding lifts his gaze. "Plot it." He steps to the table, the faint scratch of chinograph pencils marking new vectors. The tension in the room thickens. Someone exhales too loudly. Someone else taps a pen against a mug. You can feel it. They all sense something enormous, moving toward them. The doubter steps forward a group. Captain Reginald Hayes, one of the more outspoken radar skeptics, leans over the map and mutters, "These machines throw ghosts at us half the time. Could be atmospheric distortion." Dowding does not look up. "Atmospheric distortion," he says quietly, "does not fly in formation. It's not anger, just a fact delivered with the force of a hammer." Hayes clears his throat, but says nothing more. Another officer approaches with a fresh slip of paper. "Sir, WWII reports the tracks are accelerating. Looks like 3 main bomber streams with fighter escort." Dowding pauses. He knows what this means. He knows what committing early, too early, could cost. He also knows that waiting for visual confirmation would be fatal. He turns to his filter room coordinator. "Raise sector command. Alert Biggin Hill, North Weald, Debden, Kenley. All southern stations. We're preparing to scramble." The coordinator nods and heads off, nearly colliding with a young plotter sprinting in. "Sir," she says, breathless. "New reading. This wave is larger than what we saw yesterday. Much larger." Eyes widen around the room. The Luftwaffe had been testing British defenses for days, probing, feinting, striking airfields. But nothing like this had appeared on the board before dawn. Dowding knows what Goering is doing. A decisive blow. Crush the RAF on the ground. Break the backbone before Britain can recover. But Dowding has something Goering doesn't understand. Something many in his own command still don't trust. A web of towers that can see through the dark. Scramble order imminent. Meanwhile, 40 miles away, at RAF Biggin Hill, the barracks floor trembles as a runner bangs on doors with the intensity of someone who understands the stakes. "Up, up, fighter command warning. Possible scramble in under 5 minutes. Move!" Pilots wrench on boots, tug straps on Mae West life vests, and stuff ration biscuits into pockets. Some haven't even finished sleeping off last night's adrenaline. One man splashes cold water onto his face and mutters, "Bloody Jerry never waits for breakfast." Another forces a grin. At least they're punctual. But beneath the forced humor lies something real. They trust fighter command. If the call goes out, it's for a reason. They just don't know that reason came from a single, sleepless operator staring at a radar screen, still buzzing with echoes. Engines begin coughing awake across the airfield. The smell of petrol and warm oil spreads through the morning fog. Mechanics slap cowlings shut, wiping grease on their sleeves. A flight lieutenant jogs across the tarmac yelling, "Helmet checks! Radios live! We launch on sector order!" Every man knows this morning will not be routine. Back at headquarters, the moment everything turns, a sector liaison officer approaches Dowding again, this time with no hesitation. "Sir, we have confirmation from 3 chain home stations. Tracks are converging. Estimated inbound time, 25 minutes. The operations room holds its breath. Group Captain Hayes speaks again, softer this time. "If these readings are accurate, sir, this is the largest raid we've seen." Dowding finally lifts his head. "They are accurate." It's not a guess, not hope, not faith. It's the weight of weeks spent trusting the one system that never asked for glory. Only power, cables, and the chance to prove itself. Dowding straightens his tunic. "Inform all groups." A controller grabs the microphone, pressing the transmit key with a tremor. "All stations, fighter command to full readiness." The room erupts into motion. Plotters moving, phones ringing, voices rising. But one line cuts through everything. "Prepare to scramble, squadrons." A hush falls again. This is it. Radar. Dismissed. Minimized. Doubted by so many. Has just forced Britain's hand. Dowding takes one step closer to the table and utters the words that will define the morning. "Get our fighters airborne." But as the scramble orders race toward the airfields, something new, something unexpected, begins to appear on the radar plots. Something that makes even Dowding's brows tighten. A fourth formation, larger than the rest. And it wasn't there 10 minutes ago. The first 3 bomber streams had already stretched like dark threads across the plotting table, each one marked by a cluster of colored tiles pushed rapidly westward by the plotters' long wooden rakes. But the fourth? It arrives on the board in a way that makes the entire room go still. A single echo at first, then 2, then a sudden bloom, an expanding mass of returns that seems to double every sweep. The duty controller stares at the filter room display. "That can't be right," he murmurs. But it is. Every station along the coast confirms it within seconds. Dowding steps forward, jaw tightening. "Plot its vector." Plotters scramble. Pencils squeak. Voices crackle over loudspeakers. "New group detected. Origin France. Altitude increasing." "Bandits forming in depth, sir. Looks like heavy escort." "Reading strength. 60? No, more than that." One of the analysts, her hair still pinned hastily from the early call-in, swallows and whispers, "They've sent a hammer blow." No exaggeration. This fourth wave isn't a probe, or a nuisance raid, or even a coordinated assault. It is a message. Berlin's declaration that Britain's resistance must end now. Dowding presses 2 fingertips against the edge of the table, steadying himself. "Pass to group commanders. They'll need this plotted accurately. No guesses." The room whirs back into motion. You can hear everything at once. Radio chatter, the muffled thud of someone dropping a stack of plotting tiles, distant typewriters hammering out signal copies. But under it all, the unmistakable hum of the radar net, picking up the approaching storm. And for the first time this morning, even the most skeptical officers recognize what the chain-home towers have done. They've given Britain time. Minutes, not hours, but minutes that could decide whether London breathes under sunlight or under fire. On the airfields, the call arrives at Biggin Hill. The scramble bell finally erupts. A sharp, metallic scream that cuts through fog and fatigue alike. Pilots sprint. No more jokes now. Just boots hammering on wet tarmac and the steady rising growl of Merlin engines. Flight Lieutenant Alan Brooks pulls himself into his Spitfire, fingers fumbling slightly on the harness buckle. He forces a breath, clearing the jitter from his hands. The ground crew chief slaps the fuselage twice, signaling he's ready to taxi. Brooks gives a quick thumbs up. The engine roars. The canopy slides shut with a heavy clunk that seals him inside the smell of oil, metal, and nerves. The radio crackles. "Biggin Hill to blue section. Vector 090. Climb to 15,000. You'll intercept in 8 minutes." Brooks feels his throat tighten. 8 minutes. That means the enemy is already far closer than anyone expected. He pushes the throttle forward. The Spitfire surges ahead, wheels bumping over uneven ground before lifting into the gray, rising cloud. Below, more fighters peel into the sky. Pairs, trios. Entire squadrons lifting like a swarm. London lies somewhere beyond the horizon, still sleeping, still unaware of the tidal wave rolling toward it. Brooks settles into formation, glancing at the vapor trails forming around his wingtips. "Christ," he mutters. "How many did they say?" His wingman answers, voice tight. "Too many." Back at headquarters, a critical choice. On the operations board, the fourth formation grows into a massive arc, sweeping toward the southern coast. It's not just large, it's deep, layered with fighters stacked over bombers, a flying fortress of German strength. Dowding watches silently. His mind turns over the variables: fuel endurance, climb rates, sector distances, the thin reserves of rested pilots, the airfields already strained from days of non-stop sorties. If he commits too early, squadrons may run dry before the attack peaks. If he commits too late, he doesn't finish the thought. A wing commander approaches, voice low. "Sir, we don't have enough squadrons rested to meet all four streams simultaneously. If we break them up in penny packets, we won't." Dowding cuts in. "We intercept in strength, not desperation." He studies the fourth wave again. There's something off. Its spacing, its speed, its timing relative to the others. "Why reveal this formation last?" he asks quietly. "What are they hiding behind it?" A hush settles, because the Luftwaffe rarely acted without intention, and radar, even with all it had shown, couldn't tell them everything. The operators see it first. Far from headquarters, in the dim light of the WWII hut, the tired operator stares at his screen again. He rubs one ear. Pressure from the headset has left the skin sore. Sweat beads along his temple despite the cold. A new blip appears. Just one. High. Fast. Too fast. He adjusts the gain. Another pulse. Stronger this time. He speaks into the phone, voice sharper now. "Control WWII. New contact. Altitude extremely high. Altitude possibly 27,000. Unconfirmed." 27,000. That's higher than any bomber group seen all week. "Single aircraft?" Control asks. "No, sir. I'm getting echoes behind it. Hard to read. Something's masking them." Masking. The word chills him. That's deliberate. He steadies his hand, tracing the faintest return lines. "I believe this is a lead element. Possibly Pathfinders. Something big is behind them." A long silence follows. Then, "Understood. Passing to fighter command." The operator leans back, staring at the expanding cluster. Whatever is coming behind that lead element, it makes the fourth formation look like a distraction. At headquarters, recognition. The report arrives in Dowding's hands moments later. He reads it once, then again. Behind him, the plotting room noise blurs, fading to a distant hum. A masked approach, high altitude, unusually fast. His eyes widen, not with fear, but with the kind of clarity that hits like a sudden gust of cold air. "They're not aiming for airfields," he says quietly. "They're aiming for the city." No one responds at first. He turns sharply to the controller. "Signal all sector stations. London is the target. We intercept at maximum density." The controller hesitates. "Sir, every available squadron, even those recovering from yesterday?" Dowding nods once. "Even them." Plotters look up from their rakes. Officers freeze mid-message. The weight of his order sinks through the room like a stone dropped into deep water. This is no longer about readiness, no longer about conserving strength for the days ahead. This is the moment the entire chain-home system was built for. Radar saved them minutes. Now those minutes must save a city. And yet, another transmission cuts through the room before Dowding can issue the final order. A message that makes even the steadiest officers stiffen. New massive contact, north of the fourth wave. Unidentified. Approaching rapidly. The unidentified contact hits the plotting table like a thrown stone. 1 tile, then 3. Then an entire cluster sweeping out of the channel haze at a speed that makes every controller in the room stop mid-sentence. A communications officer stares at the strip, reading from Forness Station, lips parting. "Sir, this one's not like the others." Dowding steps close enough to see the charcoal gray smudge spreading outward from the coast marker. "What's their altitude?" Another message arrives. 28,000 and climbing. Impossible. Bomber formations don't climb on approach. They descend, settle, tighten. But this group, whatever it is, seems intent on going higher. A plotter whispers under her breath, "Is that even a bomber stream?" It isn't fear in her voice, but awe. Something new is happening over the channel. Something the Luftwaffe hasn't shown before. And the timing is perfect. Right when the RAF must commit fighters to the other 4 waves. Dowding inhales through his nose, slow and measured. He knows the Luftwaffe doctrine. He knows their patterns. He knows Göring's pride, his hunger for a decisive, crushing blow. And he knows this. The Germans wouldn't send 5 waves unless the 5th was the key. Inside the filter room, the picture sharpens. Downstairs, the massive filter room feels like a hive under stress. Colored lamps flash. Voices overlap. China graph pencils scrape over the central map as operators fuse raw radar data into a single coherent picture. A senior filter officer leans over the board. "Look at the spacing. This group is in line abreast. That's not bomber spacing." Her assistant adjusts his headset. "Control from WWII says they're too tight for Heinkels. And too fast." Another call erupts. "Dover now tracking them. Multiple squadrons, tight formation, altitude rising." Altitude rising. Speed increasing. Tight formation. The assistant slowly lowers his pencil. "Sir, that's a fighter screen." Everyone nearby turns to look at him. He continues, voice suddenly dry. "Not escort. A spearhead." Another officer chimes in, connecting the dots aloud. "A spearhead to punch through the defending fighters. Break the intercept pattern. Clear the way for the bombers." The filter officer's eyes widen. So they're going straight for London's airspace ceiling. It's brilliant and terrifying. If that 5th formation gets above the RAF's first intercept line, they could sweep down on the defending squadrons like a hammer, shattering coordination, scattering pilots, leaving the bomber streams untouched. But knowing this in time, that's something no German planner believed Britain could do. In the skies, a rising sense of unease. Flight Lieutenant Brooks climbs through a cloud bank, frost forming along the inside of his canopy frame. His breath fogs the glass as he wipes it with his glove. "Blue section, approaching 15,000, he radios. His wingman responds, a slight tremor in the voice. "Brooks, you seeing that?" Brooks glances up. Thin, high-altitude contrails, multiple, draw faint streaks across the morning sky. They're not from his squadron. They're too high, too fast, too clean. "Control, this is Blue 1, Brooks calls in. "Do we have friendlies above 20,000? Static. Then, Negative, Blue One. No friendlies that high. Brooks stares at the streaks again, feeling a knot tighten under his ribs. Whoever is above them, they're already in position. At headquarters, Dowding makes his hardest call. The operational room buzz fades into something colder, sharper. Plotters move with a new urgency. Even the doubters no longer speak. They simply watch the map evolve. Dowding stands absolutely still, hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the 5th formation. A group captain approaches, voice low. Sir, we don't have altitude parity with them. If they come down on our squadrons during the climb, they'll slaughter them. Dowding finishes. The captain swallows. Yes, sir. The silence stretches. Dowding knows what the Luftwaffe expects Britain to do. Hesitate. Divide forces. React instead of anticipate. He also knows what radar has given him. The one thing German intelligence insisted was impossible. Time to decide. He turns sharply toward the sector liaison. Signal this to all controllers. Primary threat is high-altitude fighter sweep. Commit top cover squadrons first. Intercept from above if possible. The liaison sputters. Sir, that means launching tired squadrons before the rested ones. Yes, Dowding says, because only they can reach that altitude fast enough. It's a brutal order. Some of those pilots flew twice yesterday. Some landed at dusk with trembling hands and 1,000-yard stares. But they're the only ones who can climb into the cold, thin air where the real strike intends to unfold. The liaison runs off to relay the command. Meanwhile, the radar that had been mocked shows its teeth at Bawdsey. The operator hasn't left his seat for 2 hours. His tea has gone cold. His pencil has been sharpened down to a stub, but his eyes remain fixed on the screen. Something strange begins happening again. A small flicker, barely visible, appears behind the 5th formation. Then another. Then a cluster. He adjusts the gain. The echoes firm up, and he feels his heart stop for a moment. He lifts the phone with shaking fingers. Control. Bawdsey reporting. New formation behind the fighter screen. Very large, very slow, very high. Control asks, how many? The operator answers softly. Sir, if I'm reading this right, this is the bomber main body. Not the vanguards, not the decoys, not the feints. This is the hammer meant to break London's back. And radar, this single station, with this single operator, has seen it before any human eye ever could. He tightens his grip on the receiver. Sir, you need to tell Fighter Command. Tell them they haven't seen the real attack yet. At headquarters, the room freezes. The message arrives. Dowding reads it slowly, the words sinking like lead. Behind him, conversations die away. Plotters stop mid-stroke. Even the hum of the lamp seems to fade. A 5th wave, a spearhead. And now, the main body of the bombing force, concealed until the last possible moment. Dowding whispers, almost to himself. So, that's their play. He lifts his head, voice steady, carrying across the room. Signal all groups. Maximum effort. Every squadron. London must not fall today. Officers scatter in every direction. Yet before the first full wave of RAF fighters can reach their intercept point, another transmission crackles through the loudspeaker. Unknown contacts appearing above the main body. Altitude 32,000 and rising. The room goes dead silent. because there's only one thing Germany could put that high. The transmission repeats, clearer this time, and impossibly calm for what it contains. Unknown contacts, 32,000 feet and climbing, possibly reconnaissance or forward controllers. But everyone in the room knows the truth. There is only one Luftwaffe aircraft built to fly above 32,000 feet with purpose. The Junkers WWII, a high-altitude reconnaissance platform capable of directing bomber formations from a height no Spitfire has yet reached. Dowding lowers the slip of paper. His face doesn't change, but his shoulders grow still in a way that makes the entire room brace. A high-altitude command element, a fighter spearhead, 4 bomber streams, and the main body, massive, slow, and shielded. If the Ju-86P reached its station over London, the Germans could coordinate the entire attack from a godlike vantage point, adjusting bomber routes in real time, steering them around intercepts, mapping fighter weaknesses, orchestrating chaos. It would transform the raid from dangerous to catastrophic. One officer whispers, barely audible, "Dear God, they mean to break the city in one morning." Dowding turns his head slightly. "We will not allow that." His voice is steady, not loud, but absolute. In the clouds. Brooks sees the trap. Flight. Lieutenant Brooks wipes frost from his canopy again, climbing past 20,000. The air feels thin and sharp. His Spitfire struggles, engine notes shifting as he tries to coax more punch from a machine not built for this altitude. His wingman's voice cracks over the radio. "Blue 1, you picking up those contrails?" Brooks scans upward, and there they are, threads of chalk-white vapor, impossibly high, sliding across the sky like needles. "That's no bomber," he says. A harsh breath fills the radio on the other end. "So what the hell is it?" Brooks tightens his gloves. "I don't know, but it's guiding something." Below them, in the distance, he sees it too. Dark clusters moving in formation, sunlight catching the wings. Bombers, more than he's ever seen in one place. And the spearhead? They're already sweeping to the side, curling into position for an overwhelming high-speed dive. Brooks feels a cold, sick weight settle in his stomach. They're stepping into a trap. A well-laid, meticulously timed trap. "Control," he radios, voice tense. "Confirm intercept priority. Are we going for spearhead or bombers?" Control answers immediately. Too immediately. Orders have changed. "All fighters, new priority is high-altitude control aircraft. Repeat, intercept the command element at any cost." Brooks sucks in a breath. The Germans have revealed their keystone, and Britain means to break it. At headquarters, radar does the impossible again. The filter room erupts with new data. Echoes sharpen. Vectors align. Altitude readings stabilize. A filter officer lifts her head suddenly. "Sir!" "The Ju-86P, it's slowing, not descending. Slowing." Dowding turns. Another officer adds, "Could be preparing to circle over London." A plotter pushes her rake forward, marking the new position. It's almost in range of the main body. Looks like they're aligning. Dowding steps toward the board, studying the pattern. "This is the linchpin," he murmurs. "Break the controller, and the raid loses cohesion." He raises his voice. "Signal all squadrons. Intercept vector updated. Engage the high-altitude contact." Controllers relay orders. Phones ring. Voices tighten. And still, another transmission arrives from Bawdsey, the same operator who has been awake for hours. Eyes bloodshot. Breath shallow. "Fighter Command, Bawdsey. Additional note: the high contact is losing altitude in small increments. Could be trouble with the pressurization system. A pause. Operators exchange glances. Dowding allows the faintest, briefest exhale. High-altitude German aircraft were notoriously difficult to maintain at the edge of their performance envelope. Even a small malfunction could force them to descend, lowering them into Spitfire reach. "Tell our pilots," Dowding says quietly. "Climb. They may have a chance." For the first time that morning, a whisper of hope creeps into the room. In the sky, the chase. Brooks grits his teeth as he coaxes the Spitfire higher. The engine growls in protest. His altimeter needle creeps upward, inch by inch. 24,000. 20 bools. 26. He strains forward in his straps, trying to spot the target. Then, there, a tiny glint, metal-kissing sunlight at a height no aircraft has business being. "Blue one visual," he says softly. "I've got the bastard." Other Spitfires struggle behind him, engines gasping, wings shuddering as they chase the thin air. One pilot radios, coughing. "Can't. Hold climb." "Stalling out." Another turns away in frustration. Brooks keeps pushing. 27,000. The Spitfire buffets hard, warning him he's close to stalling. He eases the stick, coaxing just a little more lift. Then the WWII begins to descend. Slowly at first, then more. Brooks whispers to himself, "You overreached. Come to me." His wingman gasps. "He's dropping. Brooks, he's dropping. Go. Go." Brooks presses everything forward. Throttle. Nerve. Will. He squeezes the trigger. A burst of 303 rounds tears upward, tracers streaking into the cold blue. The WWII jerks sideways. Smoke begins to bleed from the right engine. Brooks fires again. This time, the German aircraft lurches into a shallow, uncontrolled descent. And suddenly, without their high command element, the bomber formations below begin to drift. Just slightly. Just enough. But enough to unravel the Luftwaffe's perfect symmetry at headquarters. The slope turns. A plotter looks up, shocked. "Sir, some of the incoming bombers are shifting course." Another adds, "Sectors reporting confusion among fighter escorts. They're breaking formation." The room fills with a low ripple, half disbelief, half relief. Not victory, not yet. But the moment the battle begins to tilt, Dowding nods once. "Good. Now tighten intercept lines. We hit them before they reorganize." Phones ring. Signal lamps blink. The rhythm of battle begins to favor the defenders. And yet, for all the chaos, Dowding knows the truth. This was never guaranteed, never inevitable. It hinged on a system many dismissed as a toy, a curiosity, a fringe experiment. But radar saw what human eyes could not. Radar bought the minutes London needed to breathe. Radar allowed a single exhausted Spitfire pilot to reach a godlike enemy and cripple the raid before it crowned. Dowding glances once more at the map, at the city behind him, at the operators who look both exhausted and electrified. "It worked," one whispers. "Bloody hell, it really worked." Dowding doesn't smile. He simply speaks the truth. It saved London today. Closing note. In the hours that followed, British fighters harried the disorganized bomber streams, breaking coherence, blinding navigators, forcing premature releases. London was hit. Always was. Always would be. But not destroyed. Not broken. Not silenced. Because on that morning in 1940, one thing mattered more than doubt, more than pride, more than tradition. Seeing the enemy before the enemy saw you. And a single radar station, once mocked by its own scientists, proved that one flicker of light on a dim green screen could protect an entire city. Chain Home did not just change the Battle of Britain, it saved it.